All right, Oscar, go for it.
Yeah, I think I said this before. The Florida run was overall good, but I couldn't put money away and didn't give me the buffer that I need for the year. So usually, this is the Florida season is the one that gives me the most money out of the shows. Uh, Usually counts 35 to 40% of my income for the art shows for the year. So I don't know how it's going to be, but it's still this year I couldn't make head to tail. So the situation and depends a lot of who was coming, who's not coming to the show. So I saw a lot of big pieces, but nothing, not enough to make me feel comfortable. And most of the time, I felt like I was lucky. The traffic was down, and I don't know. The only good sign about it is that when I came back, I talked to a couple of my big clients, and they told me it could be just a Florida thing, uh, because the cost of the housing over there has become so high, and people are adjusting. Uh, and the people that are going to Florida right now, renters, they know are not buying, so you have less people buying things for the houses now. But that's what I heard. That's what they told me that made to make me feel better. But hopefully, it won't be a horrible year. But I don't feel like you're still making money. You just need to have the big stuff, expensive stuff, and hopefully it will work out. But we'll see. I'll let you know by the end of April,
Yeah. Yep.
because by then I will have one show in Texas, one in St. Louis, and one in Atlanta, and then I got a little one in Michigan Mother's Day weekend. So we see. Other than that, I'm dealing with stupid things here and there. So, Carlo, you look so happy.
Yeah. I just crashed Gigapixel about 5 times.
Why,
And it's
why are you using gigapixel?
and now I'm realizing that my internet is slow because I'm looks like I'm freezing.
Yeah,
Why,
you are.
Yeah.
why are you using gigapixel?
Because that's what several people recommended.
To
I've
do
got to
what?
take I'm getting ready to do some very big prints.
And you think it's better than Photoshop?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I have a version on it that's on my computer that's a year old, but I've never used it.
Yeah, I'm trying to take I think it is probably a um I think it is a original digital rebel file that's 3500 pixels wide and take it up to um like 30,000 pixels wide.
You're doing a 10-foot print.
Yeah, I am.
Now, if you were to stand back to be able to see the whole print at one time, do you think that the gigapixel would make a difference?
Hang on a second. If I did what?
If you were to stand back far enough to see the whole print.
Um,
And what are they printing it on?
I'm printing it in pieces, and I'm printing it with my black and white
Right. No, I
quad
know.
tone ink. So yeah, um, I don't know. I have not tried it with Photoshop yet. I will try it with Photoshop and then do some test prints of the same chunk.
All you have to do is do a test print of an 8 by 10.
Yeah.
Um, have you spoken to Don Ament?
Yeah, I think he commented uh and suggested gigapixel.
Oh, okay.
Pretty much everybody that commented, I put it on Facebook a few months ago, and everybody that commented suggested gigapixel.
Okay. I guess I missed that, but I wouldn't have commented because I've never used it.
So that's what I'm doing. So I'm trying to take this digital rebel file. I think that's what it is. Let's see. And and crank it way up.
Yeah, I've also heard that if you go up in like 10% increments in Photoshop.
Yeah, that's I've always heard about going up in increments in Photoshop for a long time. I mean, going way back.
Yeah.
Let's see. This is a it's my 30D.
Yeah, I mean, Topaz, they say, has the best noise reduction tools, but you have to be careful, like for people that shoot birds, that it smears the feathers if you're not careful. I use it occasionally to sharpen bird pictures, but what I do is I put it on a separate layer and reduce the opacity to 50%.
Yeah, I ran a test with their AI version. You've got several different methods, and one is I'm trying to remember. Basically, it uses AI real heavy to redo the image.
Right.
And on this particular image, I didn't like what I got.
Is it converting it to a vector file?
No, it's just
Well, no, not gigapixel, but I mean, years ago, I read that if you convert it to a vector file, you could resize it as much as you want.
oh
And
yeah, I know. Vector files you can resize whatever size you want. You
right,
can
and
go,
then convert it back to a bitmap.
well, the problem is with vector, um, you don't pull across a lot of the shading and stuff. And basically it is a photo I shot out in the Flint Hills 16 years ago and 17
Where
years ago,
they
I guess.
where they invented cameras.
Yeah. And it's just a bare tree on a hillside that's been recently burned. It's got, some detail in the clouds in the sky.
Mhm.
So, I mean, vector would capture the hillside and the tree and probably some of the detail in the hillside, but it would not hold all the detail in the clouds.
Right. Ah,
So how's everybody doing today?
Good, and you, Roy?
It's a beautiful sunny day in Charleston. Great mailman weather.
Are you out of the way of the fires?
I am. Yeah.
That'll give you some nice detail in the sky.
Oh yeah. The Horry County up in Myrtle Beach, which is about 2 hours away from us north. But I'll tell you, it's crazy. Um, and then there's some up in, I think, in the upstate in Greenville County. But we're not affected by it, thank goodness. Hey, Oscar, are you going to Cherokee Triangle?
No, I'm going
Okay.
to La Fiesta.
Where?
I think they waitlisted me or rejected me something, and I don't remember. I didn't get in basically. So
Okay.
I don't know. It is what it is. I'm not stressed out about those things. I just go to next show, move
Yep.
on.
Yep. Well,
What?
we got in. I should say
So that
Mary
should
Ann
be a
got
short
in.
drive for you.
Uh, not quite, but we've been there. We've been
It's
there
not going
several
to be 18
times.
hours.
No, it won't be 18. It'll be 12 for us.
Okay,
Um,
so don't complain.
nope, nope, I'm
Um,
not complaining. And
12 hours I can do one day.
yep, that's what we do. We do it one day. We'll leave Thursday morning, get there Thursday late afternoon, and we'll leave at about 6 o'clock. Get there around 6 p.m. Check in the hotel, and then set up Friday, Saturday, Sunday show, and then we'll head on back Sunday night. But and then Marianne's got Spoleto in May. We're still waiting to hear if we're going to go to Ann Arbor or not.
Oh,
We're on.
you might be wait. You want to know until probably middle of next month, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So
So
we yeah, we're on the wait list for the summer show.
yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
there was a lot of competition in paintings. There was almost, I would say, 120 for just painting. There was another 60 and on 2D mixed media.
Wow.
There was about 20 in drawings. It was we start during that show, the 2D at 9 o'clock in the morning. We didn't finish it until almost 4 o'clock. And that was just the 2D medias, like drawing, um, 2D mixed media, photography, painting, pre-making.
That's a lot.
Photography was not even the biggest category.
That's a lot of entries.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see. Now that's going to be a 2 day trip for us if we get into Ann Arbor. So,
It should be the same distance to Louisville. Why it shouldn't be that much longer? Because you just
um,
go straight up.
well, so when we did Port Clinton, it was a that was an 18-hour drive. So we actually stayed in Louisville and then got up the next morning and drove 5 hours to Port Clinton.
Yeah, but if you coming, you just take it's 75 all the way up, right, Barry, and then
Yeah, it's
goes
about the
to
same from Louisville. Louisville, you take I think it's 70 or 71 and it hits 75 and you just take 75 all the way to 23 and then you cut over and you're in Ann Arbor. before you know it.
Yeah, it should be the same amount of time. It should not be
Yeah, it
for
is.
your house to.
It's like a wishbone.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll
You
look
it
at
should
go
not
that.
be that
you go
much.
one way, you go to Chicago, you go the other side, you go to Detroit. But you don't
Okay.
go to
Yeah,
Detroit.
Well, it's funny. We couldn't find a hotel. Well, we stay at Hyatt, um, and so the Hyatt that we found was in, is it Livonia?
Livonia, you don't want to stay there. Although you could.
Well, it's $59 a night.
There's there's some benefit to staying there to because you get out of town. I used to, Livonia. I used to stay with friends at Farmington Hills, which is like another 10 minutes, 10 miles. And I always liked getting out of Ann Arbor and going, just out of the whole scene and then going to the Detroit suburb, which is on the, let's see, west side of Detroit. So, and then get up in the morning and drive in fresh. So there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's kind of cool to do that. You can get
Yeah.
a room.
yeah. The only drawback about driving really far from an hour from the show is that the show ends on 9 o'clock at night,
Yeah.
2 days, and if you're really tired, you don't want to be driving more than I would say 30, 35 minutes at the
You know,
farthest.
I don't know about $59, but if you find you can find a room on State Street by I-94, and that's a straight shot in. That's what we do.
I'll
Yeah,
look at
because
that.
it's not, you
How
it
much
might
will you
cost you more
pay?
money by the time you will have to eat at the show because most of the places close after like most of the places are closed by 10. So you have to eat while you have people in there in the booth. And then by the time you close, get to your car and drive, you might not get to your place until almost 11. By the time you lay down, it's going to be midnight. Then you have to wake up the next day, literally like 7 o'clock at the latest, and then you have to drag your ass to the show again.
Yeah,
So
and you want to drag your ass early because
yeah,
to avoid the traffic. Even
Right.
though on Thursday and Friday morning, there's traffic to get into Ann Arbor for people to go to work.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Look the State Street area, State Street and I-94.
Okay,
yeah,
I'll do that.
yeah. It might be just $200 a night at the most, but just
Yeah,
I'm
what did
telling you,
we
it's
pay?
it's
We didn't pay that.
like
It was
it's
reasonable, wasn't it?
$160 a night, something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't a
Okay.
lot. And as far as food goes, since it's the two of you, one can just run over and get something. There's plenty of places to eat in Ann Arbor. You can
Yeah,
walk.
that's what I
Yeah,
do.
yeah,
I'm the gopher. I'm the mule. I told you we made the agreement. I said, honey, I want to do art shows. She said, okay, I'll paint. You do everything else. So I do everything else.
Yeah, you can
There
go for us. You can go for us also.
you
If you
go.
if you're over on Main Street, you can go for us. We'll
There you go.
we'll help you out. We'll make you feel wanted.
All right. I got, it's funny when the first time I ever got a job working with the union back in 81, my uncle got me into the Carpenters Union. We worked at the New York Coliseum, and it was a gift show. So Hallmark was there, American Greetings. So all those gift companies with the cards and knickknacks and ornaments and all that stuff. So, I mean, I am green. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. All I do is I got an apron and a hammer, ruler, you know. So the foreman comes up to me and says, "Hey, you got a pencil?" And I got a pencil right behind my ear. I said, "Yep." He said, "Get a piece of paper or something to write on." So I ripped a lid off of a cardboard box, and he said, Go around and find out what everybody wants for coffee break.
Oh, a gopher. I love it.
I was making $16.85 an hour back in '81 to go get coffee for everybody. Okay, so Barry,
And
you
that was
want
at the
regular?
Javits Center, right?
No, at the Coliseum,
Oh, the Coliseum. Oh
the New
God.
York Coliseum. Okay, so Barry wants a regular coffee, 2 sugars. He wants a toasted bagel with cream cheese, jelly on the side, grape jelly on the side. I've got a list of 20 people, and I'm like going down. People are giving me money. Holy cow! I was gone for like an hour to get coffee. I came back. It's coffee break. Okay, so I'm an experienced gopher. Yep.
You'll have to tell us where your booth is.
Yeah, I'm
But
hoping
we'll
we're
know
gonna have.
anyway, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Have you? Do you know where you're going to be at?
Oh yeah.
Okay, where are you at?
I'm not telling.
Okay,
No, I'm on Main I'm on Main Street.
okay, okay,
The Ann Arbor Torture Fest has its own unique weirdness. That's all I got to say.
okay. All right.
But
Well, I'm
part
looking
of the
forward to.
problem with that, listen, part of the problem with being on the wait list is they have this grandfathered program in that they insist on doing, and some of these people have, you know, they started out, 40 years ago, and they haven't gotten any better. So they're there and in the same spot they always were in, and they're clogging. I'm trying to get them every year. I try and get them to rejury the whole event. Have nobody be invited back from the year before and redo
Right,
the whole thing, but they won't do that. So we're stuck with um, all these people that really shouldn't be there, considering the magnitude or the not the magnitude, but the reputation of the Ann Arbor Art Fair.
right, right. It's funny because St. James does that too, and Spoleto here in Charleston does that too. We
Listen,
Marianne got an email with so the committee, the Spoleto committee, Piccolo Spoleto committee. They sent her an email and asked her to be a juror of 5 potential new artists that are, are are wanting to come into the show. I'm sorry, it was 8. 8 new artists applied, and I was just watching her. I didn't say anything, and I'm just watching. I'm looking at the art, and I'm telling you, some of this stuff was just. I mean, at least from her perspective, you want a fine art show to have fine art, not kids' drawings. And it's like,
really?
so, so she did her thing while she juried in these people. And she said out of the 8, there were 3 that were really good and 1 that was fair, and the other 4 were really not good. They didn't have a booth shot. They just had paintings or drawings or whatever. I don't know what she said, but none of them had a booth shot. And it's like, how can you jury into a show without a booth shot? And
That's really common for emerging artists.
these weren't emerging artists after, and because these. She said that these were artists that were doing art for 10 years plus. She didn't have
Yeah,
anybody.
but
Yeah, but were they doing art shows for 10 years?
that's the what I was going to say.
That
Because you
that I
can
don't
be
know.
a gallery this you can be a gallery artist doing really well, and then
Yes.
you want to try to do art shows, and you're starting from scratch because it's a different monster. What you're
That
selling
makes sense.
galleries is not what you're selling an art show.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
Anyway, it'll be interesting.
got uh that anybody knows what is in the website category metafields?
Metal?
No, metafields.
Oh,
Metafields.
metaph. No idea.
I just spent the last 3 days raising the prices on my website and
Okay.
updating a couple of things. Oh,
Marion
Lord,
just Marion just painted a 30 by 40, and it's a blue palmetto, and she's pricing it for Spoleto here in Charleston. She's going to take it to Cherokee, but she's pricing it at 8,200.
Hey, hey, Barry, remember there was a time when the Michigan Guild would let booths be passed down to family members when they retired.
No kidding.
I avoided the guild till I don't know,
And at
not
least
too long ago.
they did away with that sometime in the early 90s, I think.
Hey, well, there was a waiting list at one time, like
Well, yeah, I was like
8 years
500.
or something, you know.
I was 500 on the waiting list to get my spot, but I was
500.
able to get in every year. It was
Yeah.
just a temporary spot each time. And then once you reach zero on the waiting list, you got a permanent spot.
Hey Barry,
Hey,
I like
Waddy.
your I like your mitt.
Yeah, you playing baseball today?
No, I have this out in honor of the fact that baseball season starts Thursday.
That's
Or
right.
unless you count the 2 games in Japan.
Guess
Nah.
guess what else, Barry? I saw a picture of you today from 2011 um at Arts Beats and Eats
Oh no.
in Royal Oak, and Connie Metzger had written, well, Barry came away with a few dollars to spare because I don't know, I guess it was a really bad show, bad weather and everything, and disastrous things happened. But you were there.
I was there.
I'm just passing that little anecdote along for no,
She exaggerated my winnings.
well, there's nothing wrong
Actually,
with that.
actually, I did better then. Now I'm not selling anything. I'm going to be homeless in 6 months.
No. Did you just have a show? Did you just have another show?
So they're
Well, no,
horrible.
I'm just inquiring.
They all suck. What do you mean?
Well, I don't know. They all suck. I'm not out there.
I'm still reeling from Florida debacle. And it,
That's
I
because
don't, wait a minute. I don't want to give you the
The
wrong story.
Florida debacle. I want to hear about the Florida debacle.
No, you don't.
All right. I'll contact you
Ask
after the.
ask Oscar. Oscar can speak to it.
I
No,
really
they're just
say what I was going to say.
All right. Well, I'll reach out to you, Oscar. I got your number.
we've been I've been censored. We're
Oh,
censored. If you
okay.
say anything bad about anything, you can't. They won't let you in.
You're
where
muted. Yeah. Where are you censored?
Hey, go criticize the show.
any
It's
show.
like it's a fashion. Never mind. I don't.
Uh, I get it. I get it. I hear you.
He got the my memo that I got 3 years ago.
Actually, you know something. You know, it's funny that you should say this. Oscar calls me every other day to complain, to say all these things that I'm kind of saying now. So it's funny that he would just say what he just said because it's like every other day, and I'm saying, don't you have anything better to talk about, Oscar, than these events? So
Hey,
it's ironic that he
I
would say that.
just wait until we get out of this Zoom meeting. I got to give you an earful.
Has something new
I
happened,
want to.
Oscar? What happened?
I want to be on that. I want to be on that telecon.
No chance. What?
I'll tell you in private.
We have. Never mind. Never mind.
Hey,
Listen,
we're learning here, so I want to get all the dirt. I want to get as much info as possible.
yeah, you're not getting it from me. The only
You don't get
my
enough from me
idea of
either.
info is you go do the show and you figure out what's going on. That's what I did. That's what anybody who's like ancient, like
Like
Court
me.
and Larry. This is what we did. We just, we didn't ask around. Well, we did ask around, but only at the show. And
Yeah, that's what we do.
you can't answer. You know what? I can't answer any questions. I can't tell you how you're going to do because it's all different. In fact, every show is
Exactly.
different. In fact, every year at every show it's different.
That oh my gosh, that is so true. I mean, like, so the first year we did
So
St. James, they put you in the inner court, which is terrible. But
unless you know what you're doing, go ahead.
well, and fortunately we kind of did because Marianne won the Founders Award. She won $5,000.
Yeah, yeah, and
So
you know what? That's such bullshit. It's so incredibly well I don't have the right word
subjective,
for it. No,
subjective,
it's insulting to give $5,000 to one new person instead
right?
of dividing the award up into, let's say, five awards and giving to people that have supported them forever. You
I
know,
agree.
and listen, this is
Well,
what.
making an investment in the future.
Oh, please.
Well, they did for us because we returned, and so that second year that we went, we got our booth and we sold $125 print, and that was it. But last year, it was a great show for Marianne. She made 10
I
grand
got to,
last year. And we had the same booth. And so
I
it was
got
a
to,
corner booth. Go ahead, Oscar.
I got to tell you, quite honest with you, more and more I think about it. I'm going to say this: you should get a sponsors, and and after you cover the cost of the putting the show, before you start paying the show staff, after you cover the cost of the show and start planning with the money to do something else, if you have extra money, they should really send a check to the artist to compensate for the booth fee. But they would never do that. I quite honest with you, if the if it's 100% true that the booth fees only cover maybe 10% of the cost of the show,
Yeah.
they can figure out a sponsor to cover the 10% of the show and make the booth fee for free.
How about
That's my
if you do a show for 10 years, you get a free booth?
No, I want money. I want
no.
money every year. We're generating the income for the whole area,
Yeah,
all
I
the
know.
businesses, the state, this, the city tax, sales tax. We are generating income. We take all the risk. We should be compensated like everybody else is compensated. Every other industry, every other field that is entertainment, and you'd have to consider that we're entertainment. Um, they all get paid except for us because we can't get together and demand it. And then there'll be one person like Court will take the other side and say, "Well, you don't deserve it," or it goes for this or it goes for that. I want to see. I'd love to see all. I can say this because I'm towards the end. So if they want to get rid of me, that's fine. But you know, it's really it should be. We should be compensated for generating. We should share in that for generating the
that's that's
income.
that's my thinking. Like if you put in a show, if say that the show costs you $2 million to put together, and the revenue for the show was $3 million, so you have $1 million in profit, it will not hurt to send the booth fee back to the artist because you're in the black no matter what. Because if it's through or getting a sponsor to cover the booth fees,
Yeah,
Do you know how?
the only show that comes close to that is Fort Worth.
In terms of what?
They either gave back jury fees or booth fees
Oh,
if
that.
they got a certain number of applications because they reached the point where they had enough money.
They don't do that anymore.
Now, well, is Jay still the director?
Yeah,
Yes.
Because he was doing that.
yeah. I just saying like if you get into the show and they can make enough money with the sponsor and gate fees, after you cover all your expenses, you should start thinking about refunding the booth fees to the artist. That's my thinking. If you can do it, you know.
Look at there are some shows that make so much money that if the artist actually thought about it, not even knowing the numbers, we'd be outraged at what they're making for their own
Berry Creek.
committee.
Yeah, but Barry, a lot of the shows are not for profit. I
All
mean,
that
yeah.
means is that they
So,
that they distribute the money that they take in.
so okay. So a show makes just if you look at just the show itself, they come
I'm
up with $1 million extra on the show. I'm not going to say profit, but $1 million extra.
yeah.
Um, what if that organization has rent and they have office space and they have
See, Court, this is
salaries?
exactly the problem. Somebody like you will always take that other side. You know what? They're not just making $1 million; they're making millions of dollars. I'm talking about a show, some shows in particular, and you know what, Court? It doesn't matter because all these other fields,
Yeah, it
where
does matter, Barry, because for some of these shows, especially the better shows, which tend to be run by not-for-profits.
Wait, let me explain what I mean by it doesn't matter. The shows will adjust, just like baseball. The players get a cut. The actors get a cut. The writers get a cut. The museum, everybody gets a cut in their field except for us. We don't get a cut, and we're taking all the risk. And you know what? Let them work out that part of it, Court.
But
Well, the
Corey,
food vendors are taking a risk and they're paying a cut.
what I'm saying to be more specific, let, let's take a non-profit organization, right? You got your yearly cover cost. So say the show makes, I just throw in a number, right? The show costs $1.5 million and you generate $3 million. Then you take out the operation cost for the year for the show, for the staff, office space, everything else. So I cannot see realistically that being more than 250,000, or maybe even send a siren to go to 500,000. You still have 500,000 profit. And you cannot tell me that you cannot refund some percentage to the artist. I don't say refund everything, but you can always open
Yeah.
up to refund some of it back
If there's
to
200
the people that
artists
was at the show.
and you give everybody back
$100.
no, 600.
Even if you get $100 back, it will be a good gesture because that's the jury fee for two other shows. You know, because we keep talking about this year about how difficult it is for artists making money because the economy is looking weird and people are kind of scared about spending money, blah blah blah, right? And then when you start looking around show after show this year, they always going to say that the expenses went up for them, the booth fees went up, but at the same token, with December, the artists are going to have a hard time making money. So I just don't like. It's a maybe I'm taking English literally, but it's a contradiction in my head. But
The
you
way
know,
to look at it is you take X amount of art. There's the artist, let's say, and take a year. Let's say 2010. Who was doing it in 2010? And then in 2025, how many of those people are still doing it versus new people? And I'm telling you, it's so small, it's really small. That are the people that last all that time, which means that it's not that what we do is not sustainable. That for the majority, it's good for a few people, but not for the majority. And I'm talking, I can't give you specifics because I don't know the actual numbers. All I know is when I go to a show and I see all new people, a show that I've done, for a number of years, and I see all new people, I think, nobody's all these people have dropped out, and that's the way it's been for 40 years. It's always, 10 years later, it's all new people. There's very few of us that have stayed all this time and are doing
And,
this.
and
Very few. And it's not because they made so much money that they retired early. It's generally the other way around. And nobody looks at it. Nobody looks at this. Nobody cares. The directors don't care, and we don't and for every one person that says this, there's one person that says, "Oh, it's great. Everything's great." Well, okay.
Well,
well,
Barry, you look at it like for the organizations that do the shows, that the show's the only thing that they do. And that's not true. The shows are one part of what they do.
It
You know,
doesn't matter, Court.
well, it does matter.
It
So,
doesn't
okay,
matter. The show's an entity unto itself. It's compartmentalized. You make it work for us.
okay, if you have a budget for your group, your business, whatever, you have a budget and you're counting on, that art show to produce a profit and bring in money so you can fund the rest of your business.
Wait a minute. Why should we fund them? Why should we why should we be responsible for their organization?
because that's why they put the show
They
in the
don't have.
first place.
That's why they do the show in the first place.
No, they
Yeah.
don't. They do the
Yes, it
show
is.
because everybody makes money. Don't kid yourself, Court. If they didn't make any money, if the state didn't make it, don't roll your eyes. If the state didn't make any money, if the city didn't make any money, then they wouldn't have them. It's such a big lie to say that, oh, we fund them. No, that's why there's a show at every little small town because it makes them money. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any. That's America. That's free market enterprise. That's how it works. So
Well,
you're
I'm
so
going to tell you two things, two both different things. Like the comment that I keep hearing from Naples this year, that a lot of the artists are thinking that this year is going to be really rough, and a lot of people are going to be dropping off because there's not going to be enough money to keep doing this. They're not going to be able to make enough money to keep doing this. That's the one thing I keep hearing over and over from coming from Florida. Now, Naples Art Center on Court Point, they put the three shows, and they do the mercado, I think that they also do the 1 day show, but all that money they use all that money goes to the art center because they're not getting any extra funding, and in the state of Florida where they took all the funding for arts, the art shows now are becoming a fundraising for them. But that is
Oscar,
Florida.
Oscar,
But yeah,
you're only it was only like 40 whatever the millions, it was millions. It wasn't even the and it went to like a gazillion art groups and stuff. So that didn't account for anything. Taking that away was basically taking away a few $1,000 from a group. It isn't a lot, you know. No, Oscar, it
we don't
isn't.
know because we don't know because
Do the
each center gets a
numbers.
different amount.
Do the numbers. Take the total amount of money that DeSantis didn't give. Take the amount of groups that got that money and divide it up. It's not that much money. See, the problem
It's
with
still,
us is we don't analyze these things, and we don't think about
but,
that.
But Barry said that your budget for the year is 100. Let's call it that the budget is $1 million. Okay, and you know how you're going to get your $1 million, and now suddenly somebody tell you, I'm not going to give you this money. Now you need to scramble and find another way how to make that money because your budget didn't change, your expenses didn't change. Actually, your expenses went up most likely. So, and what I'm saying, my point is, after you cover your budget for the year, if you have extra money, instead of rolling into the savings account or 401k or whatever you want to call it, you should give some of the money to the artist to cover the booth fees back. That is my point. To be more specific, down to the nitty gritty. Like after you cover, you have your budget, because I'm assuming you have a budget set up, and you're going to put some money into the reserve. Before you throw in the reserve, think about giving some of the money to the artist. It was part of the show. As a thank you note. Doesn't have to be, if the booth fee was $900, you don't have to give $900. But if you even send $250 back to an artist, they're going to be happy. You know, it's the
Hell
same
yes.
thing, Gasparilla. Honestly, I know that the money is set up for award money, but the amount of money they give away, they should not be charging for the booth fees. They should not be charging $700 or $600, whatever was the booth fee for that show.
Do you listen? I've
I
said this
agree.
many
I agree.
times. How come nobody listens to me? The award money was it's some guy put up a foundation, set up a thing so that the award money so that good artists would do the show. It's a separate thing. It's a foundation. They it's separate from the show, but they did that. So it has nothing to do with anything else. The award money has nothing to do with the show. They're not allowed to take that money and use it to do the show. It's only for the awards, and there was a very specific reason for that, and that was to draw really good artists to do the show. That's what that's about. It cannot be touched. It has nothing to do with anything else. So you can't so at that show you can't equate the two because it's going to be there no matter what. Oh, and
But you
Court,
can,
I didn't mind you rolling your eyes. I like these. I caught that. It doesn't matter. I like the discussion. To me, this is just a discussion.
I'm not
You,
rolling, Barry. I'm not rolling my eyes. I got like four things going on here, and I'm looking at all sorts of different things going
oh,
on.
okay.
So,
Well, I'm paranoid. What can I say?
I've got another screen over here that I'm looking at that I'm trying to work on new work. And at the same time, I was just looking at recipes for my dinner tonight.
Court,
So what
court.
are you having for dinner tonight?
I'm trying to find a recipe for beef kefta.
Really?
Like Lebanese kafta?
Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
yes.
Cool. Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
All
I'm
right,
coming over.
Court. What's with your wallpaper?
My wallpaper?
Yeah. Can you explain?
Yeah. Um, I used to spend Friday nights and Saturdays in an old nursing home, and it was like a lot of nursing homes built during the 60s. It was V-shaped with two wings, and where they met was the dining hall and all that. Well, one wing um, was had been converted to doctor's offices. The dining hall and the rest of it was being used for storage by a hospital, by a small rural hospital. And I worked as an EMT, and we kind of cleaned out one room for me to stay in Friday nights and Saturdays. And this is one of the other rooms.
Oh, wow.
They'd gone through and taken out the toilets. I think
That's
these were
great.
probably all from the other side.
I love it. I love
And
it.
they were like putting them in storage, waiting to do something with them,
It
or
was easier to move them from one wing to the other than haul them to the dump.
oh, got it.
And I didn't get to it fast enough, but they threw away hundreds, if not $1,000 in scrap metal. They just threw away.
Oh, yeah. Hmm.
All right, I just had to ask. I just
Yep,
had to.
that's what it is.
Okay, and my 2 cents towards this discussion is that I think booth fees are way too high. They keep going up. And I mean, we still pay them. It's like it's like how things just keep going up and up and up and you still keep paying them. You don't get to a point, or I haven't gotten to a point yet where I say, okay, I just can't afford this. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to make enough money to be able to afford, like you say, Oscar, my expenses. But I mean, it's just, like you say, eight, 795, 800, $900. You have to work a lot just to be able to break even, and you hope you do better. You hope you make a lot of money, but like everybody says, you never know what's going to happen. And I just think they're just too high. And I think it's unfair that there might be an excuse to raise booth fees, saying, well, everything's going up, so booth fees have to go up too. It's inflation. And I just think that's really unfair to put that burden on the back of the artists, who are the ones who are struggling the most, to foot the bill, for whatever increased cost there may be for a show. I just think it's unfair to put the burden on the artist to recoup that amount of money.
But the problem this is just a general observation, and I'm a little pissed off today, so it's nothing to do with this. Uh, is that on one hand they tell you when people start complaining, oh, your booth fee, what is the booth fee for? And then they tell you the booth fee doesn't cover 10% of the cost of the show. So then you start thinking, if that's so why are you charging a booth fee then? That would be the logical question. When you send a comment like that, then why you need that 10% of the booth fee? And then you start questioning, if you make X amount of money, can you give us some money back? We will front the money so we have a skin in the game. If we don't show up to the show, we don't get anything back. But and Barry, one thing that I said about Gasparilla was, I know that the money set up for the award money, and I know that's where the money's supposed to go. But if they come this year, 2 years ago, they raised out the award money even higher than the year before, and they could have easily $20,000 will cover the booth fees for everybody in there. And that's why they raised it up, because it used to be 75,000, now it's 95,000.
Well, it isn't that they raised the booth fee. They made that money just sitting there made the money so they could give that out. Uh, I'm sure it's a certain percentage of the grant that was given,
I
and
I just
they don't
said,
just have it sitting there. They invested it, it's 90,000 instead of 72,000 or 100,000, and yeah,
Yeah,
it keeps going up.
it's gonna vary depending upon, how it's invested from year to year.
That's right, and one year it might go down. It hasn't, but it could.
I just saying, like, it's something, because I cannot hear anybody say to me, because I listen to people, it doesn't make any sense to me sometimes. But you know, it is what it is. And at some point, to answer your question, it's not about how much is the booth fee is can I make that money back at that show?
Yep.
It's
That's
not
what it's all
about.
about.
It's not about. I don't care the booth fee. I'm willing to pay $3,000 for a booth fee if I can feel confident that when I walk in there before I start the show, I'm going to make my money back. And
Well,
in this day, there's no show that can you. I don't care how good is the show, how well it's been run in the past. There's no guarantee that you're going to make money at the show. I don't
Ever,
care what show it is.
ever.
I agree.
And
I agree.
so and because some shows before you open the booth, most of the artists already are between $1,000 to $3,000 and the home, depending on what show it is.
It
Before the
costs
show
us
even
two
starts.
grand. It costs us 2 grand to do a show.
And also something that you're probably not taking into account would be the cost of replacing what you sold. So that's part of
Yeah,
the cost too that none of us ever figure into it. And that so when you say $2,000, it's really more than $2,000
That's a
because
good point.
it's more
Yeah,
than that because
it's the
when
replacement,
and
that's econ, that's a like a 300 level econ class, cost analysis.
that's right.
yeah,
It's part of
basically
that.
what I'm saying, $2,000 is before you even start counting the what you sold. Before you add the cost of the
Yeah,
goods,
yeah, I
because
know, I
depending on what
know.
you sell,
What I'm saying,
it's
it's
going to
it's
be
even more
different.
than $2,000, the break
Yeah.
even point. We
So
all
it's
want to
not,
feel good by not adding that in there.
yeah, because most of the shows, it's like even if you pay $500 booth fee, if you stay in an hotel, uh, most of the time it's if you get lucky, you find something really good for $100. But in this day, it's going to be $300 for 2 nights. Uh, Assuming that you don't want to stay in the band, right? And sometimes you cannot do that in the summer. So now you already you have to add the gas and just then you have to have the time that you're going to be there and at the show. So you have to feel confident when you do the show that you can make the money back. And I don't think that, and heaven forbid, it start raining the
Yeah,
whole weekend.
yeah. The sign that artists aren't making enough money is the fact that many of them, maybe half, I don't know. Uh, I shouldn't give you a percentage because I don't really know, but many artists stay in their vehicles to save money because they can't make them because they're not making the money to do the show. That's a telltale thing because at one time everybody stayed in hotels. Nobody stayed in their vehicle.
Actually, for 10 years, I slept in my truck and it paid for my truck.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, we didn't. I never did for the first I don't know 20 years, whatever. And I didn't.
I
I didn't
had
know.
I had windows put in with screens so I could open them up for ventilation.
Yeah.
Well, like I'm trying to think now by virtue of this conversation, um, how other countries deal with their artists, how the arts are supported. Because I'm trying to think of Europe. I don't think they really have art fairs like we do. They have
No,
like
they do.
they
They
do.
do.
They do.
They
Okay.
do.
Okay. 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 Okay.
I'm
So,
I'm
but
going
I
to interrupt, guys, real quick. I'm almost home. Great conversation.
I
Appreciate you guys. Y'all
I
have a wonderful day.
I
Bye.
Uh,
All
Bye,
right,
guys.
so I mean I'm not familiar. I can't I don't know. So I know though that obviously we live in a free market economy, like Barry says, and we don't have a social safety net like other countries or European countries and some South American countries do. Um, so it really sleeping in cars and having to scrounge for food. And, artists really shouldn't have to live this way. We should be elevated in society, not lowered in society. We should be held up as like paragons of virtue or something, or people to be admired and rewarded for their work. And I just think it's bad because like in America we have, you have all these galleries in Chelsea and New York and in big cities, whatever. And so that's like a whole different universe. And then you have us out there making art, and we are the ones who are filling people's homes with beautiful things. We are the ones who, when Americans want art in their homes, they come to us. Okay, they're not going to New York City or to LA or whatever and buying a a $500,000 piece of art. They're not. They're coming to us at these art fairs. And I just really think that the value of our art should not be um it should be elevated more than it is. And I say this both because of the booth fees, but also because of um like the language. Sometimes the language in the communications that you get from art fairs can be very hostile or demeaning or yelling or different things. They don't they I don't know, it's just like a really, sometimes not all art fairs, but some art fairs I feel like they're assuming artists are going to do something wrong. And so they're trying to prevent you from, I don't know, it's just like the language and the tone can be hostile. But that's not always the case. But anyway, I'm just saying I wish maybe like you guys are saying, um, giving back booth fees would be a nice gesture of saying we really do value you and we want you to come back. And like Barry was saying, I think, you were saying, well, these people who are gone, who have been doing it for 40 years, each time you do the show, there's fewer and fewer of these people. But I
But
think
there's plenty of new ones.
there's plenty of new ones, I know, but I think there's also a reward coming from the community. I mean, I have some people in in my world who I consider part of my community, and I only know them on the art fair circuit, but I really value them. And um so I think there's value in that. You get recognition from your peers and you get support from your peers. So that's not a tangible value, but it's there.
Just also keep in mind that when my sister tells me, you're the one that choose this career. I didn't tell you, nobody forced you to choose this career. So that's the counterpoint to your argument. I'm not saying that you don't have a good argument. I'm just telling you what people will answer you, because you could
But
have choose be something else.
Oscar, we have the right, everybody has the right in their own field to criticize and to make comments so that it would make it better. That's what it's about. It's not about complaining. It's about pointing things out so that that can be worked out to make it better. That other people uh, don't see it. So to point things
But
out, it's a good
what I
thing.
say,
It's
Barry,
constructive.
sorry, what I
Yeah.
say was that when we start complaining about lifestyle and everything else, the answer that you will get is, you're the guy that choose this career. You knew what you was getting into it. Nobody
Okay,
forced you to be an artist. That's
okay,
what they would do.
right.
That's
And that
not
just
true.
assumes that people believe that artists should be starving artists. And so if you chose the career of artist, you're going to be starving.
I've never met anybody that said that or that
Starving
believed that
artists?
we should be starving.
No, I don't think, but I mean, that's the caricature. That's the
No, that's
stereotype.
your vision of it. I don't see that ever.
It's not my version. I'm saying it's a caricature.
You're the one that said it. I wouldn't say that because I don't think in those
But
terms.
what she's saying, Barry, is that the stereotype that we have as an artist, that we are starving artists, that we don't have enough money to cover your bills. They use they you know what, you are poor because you're an artist. That's the characterization there. It's the same thing. You work in Walmart because you didn't went to school and you didn't have a good education because you didn't pay attention in school. You are not a an accountant because you decide not to be an accountant. It was your choice all the time. It's never about uh it's always been about your choice. And that's what we are people say to people all the time. I'm not saying this right or wrong. I'm just saying that's what people say to us. when you complain about I don't have enough money this week, they're going to tell you, well, any self-employed person had the same problem, but I understand that you're an artist and you didn't have a that's you just depending on too many other factors. You don't have something that people want, something dependable that you can make income all the time,
Ah,
regardless what you think about it. So that's basically what's going on. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that it's tough pill to swallow.
Don't you think that the system could be altered so that we are not taking as much risk as we're taking? A few things
Trust me,
different.
I she, my one of the reasons why I got into the board for the guild is because I would like them since the guild is for the artists and to promote artists and have no as a non-profit organization. My goal would be not to charge artists booth fees. Just invite them to do the show, apply to the jury process, and we will cover the booth fee. We just
Here's what's
want
going to happen if you start covering booth fees, Oscar. You're going to have
what
you're it if there are no booth fees,
I think
then
that you're going to get more qualified artists. More the competition will be stiffer
Wait,
to get
I want to
into
hear
the
what Cord
show.
has to say.
if you have no booth fees, then artists have no skin in the game, and you're going to have massive amounts of artists going, "Ah, the weather looks crap this weekend. I'm not going to go."
Well, that's the part that I would say. Then I will send you the. I will ask you to send the booth fee at the fee up front, and after the show is done, I will refund you the money if you come to the show. But always percentage out of
Wait,
it back.
Cord, I don't disagree with you, and I know that's a problem, but when you, of all the benefits of doing that versus the one thing that would be a reason not to do it, yours is the one thing that would not, but there are plenty of benefits. Do the benefits outweigh, would the benefits outweigh the negatives? And it may, and and Oscar has a good point, I think, put,
Well, if you want to refund booth fees, no booth fees and refunding booth fees are two separate things.
that's right. That's right.
And if you want to refund booth fees or part of booth fees, I'm all for that. But just saying there's no booth fees is because I mean, I'm in the middle of doing these um I'm doing the art show crash courses for NAI. And one of the reasons we charge is so people show up. Um and when you don't charge, the example was I was part of a group that I was an instructor at an event that a photo lab put on for its clients. They did not charge anything. They had 600 people register. They had 300 people show up. So when there's no cost or no fee up front, people don't show up unless they have, some skin in the game. And so that's why I think, charging booth fees up front is important because I guarantee you that every single artist that 2 or 3 days before a show has not, they're tired, they're looking at the weather, they're going, I mean, everybody's done it. I mean, if you've done art shows, if you've done more than 10 art shows, you've done it. You sat there and going, oh man, do I really want to do this? And blah, 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 and about the only reason you go and you show up is because you're going to lose your booth fee if you don't.
I thought it was because I was cheap and I would lose my booth fee.
Hey, I've got a little separate question, but it comes out of this conversation. Is there any other organization similar to the Guild in other parts of the country?
that has multiple shows.
Who knows?
Yeah, that has multiple shows, does them well, is an organization that is out to support and promote artists. Is there something like that elsewhere in the country or no?
Yeah, kind of Howard Allen, but
Every promoter does that.
no,
So
no, but
Well, no,
Howard
no,
Allen,
no, no, no. I would say that's different. I wouldn't say the Guild is comparable to Howard Allen. No.
I
well,
would.
then Howard
Well,
Allen has
Howard
multiple
Allen is
shows.
not running a gallery in Ann Arbor. Howard Allen is not like involved in the arts. They're just putting on
Really?
shows. No,
There are lots of
I disagree with you.
organizations that are smaller and might do one, maybe two shows, but I don't think there's anybody in the country that does it to the level that the Guild does.
And the guild from Pennsylvania used to do that, and it turned out that it was not profitable, so they stopped doing it.
Well, yeah, but
So
what's her name took over those shows.
yeah, but now, oh my God, but not she's a promoter now.
Well, they are.
No,
The Guild is a promoter now.
Yeah, but they still the mission is still the same. They try to promote art. Uh,
sort of.
okay,
that's just my take.
okay,
Hey,
just a comparison with other, I mean, I'm from Cleveland, so I don't know the Michigan landscape as well as you guys do. And I've just, I've only been a member for a year of the Guild and I've done some shows with them, but I don't have the experience that you guys do. But anyway, I did one show. I'm just going to throw out other names of promoters that I would categorize as different from the Guild. I did one show with Integrity um, shows. Mark, I think his name is Loeb, Palmer Park in Detroit. I applied to another one of his. I think it's very different from the Guild, from having a show promoter like that. I don't know. I don't have that experience. I applied to a couple others in Michigan, going in blind. Um, Orchard Park, Milford Memories. And then I'm looking, afterwards, after I've applied, I'm kind of like going into the weeds and looking at them as organizations. And I think it's very different from what the Guild is doing. I think it's very different.
There's a difference between promoters and and organizations where you see there's a promoter. The main difference is when you see the term promoter and director, because the directors don't like to be co-promoters. I can tell you that for sure. But
yes.
it all depends on the show. And some of the organizations, nonprofit organizations, only come to one show of the year. Lexington Art League put a show Woodland and Lexington in Woodland Park, but that's the only show that they can put up, and it's a nonprofit organization because they're doing the art center also. But it's a fundraiser. They use it like a fundraiser for the art center. But the the years I've done it, they promote the crap out of the show. Even when it's raining, people still show up at the show. So it's not it's they had the problems internally a couple of years ago, like everybody else during COVID, but they try to do the best they can. They have the best intention all the time that they put in an event. That and the gallery they did wrong. But other than that, I cannot tell you in the Midwest, I cannot tell you anybody similar to the Guild because I still had no fun one. Because even though the big shows like Des Moines, they use the money for something else. All Town is to promote arts, but it's it's for the promoting arts in the Old Town neighborhood and in grants like that. Lake from Milwaukee is to help the museum. Uh,
I don't think they're
I don't
connected
know.
anymore.
I don't know what Art in the Square in Belleville does with the why they do the art show. I don't know what Clayton, St. Louis Clayton does with the money from the art show. That's something you have to look every single one. But every single show, I would just when you're looking for shows, try to even if you don't get in, apply to the big shows, to what core code national shows or regional shows, the big ones. The local shows, those are the ones that you have to really, I don't say to discard, but you really need to pay attention to
Well,
track record of the show.
well, every show is different in what they require, what they need. Belleville will be different than, let's say, St. Louis, which is across the
Across
river.
the river.
Yeah. So you can't, we can't talk about any one show or any one method of doing things because every organization has different needs of their own. Hey, you know what? I'd like to see this all start all over again, like from scratch, no rules. And how about having invitational shows where they bid for our services to be in the show?
Oh, that's you dreaming.
Listen, if colleges, if associations can give college
Yeah, hi.
football players $1 million a year just to play there, then
Okay, I'm
shouldn't
still
we get
thinking.
something? Shouldn't they bid for our services?
You, I'll call
I
you back.
realize it's unrealistic. I'm just throwing that out to
Okay.
point out that there are
I,
different ways of this has been set up a certain way, and nobody looks at any alternatives. But there are alternatives to the way the system, the method, way things are done. Why couldn't it be different? I mean, that's an extreme example, paying us to do the sh inviting us and paying us, you know, you know, I mean, that'd be one way to ensure that the best artwork goes to the best shows.
I just, the reason why I bring this up is like some of the shows, like the modern Florida is they give awards away is to bring the best artists to the show because you keep going after the award money, so they have the more you put the best presentation, the best product possible, to bring the best artists to that show because those people are going for the award money. Uh, I don't like award money. I think I would love that they instead of giving award money, they will give a discount on the booth fees or or put the money into bringing buyers to the show. But that's I don't know enough of the business to tell you how to do it or not to do it. So it's
Okay,
beyond my pay grade.
no, okay, here's a question.
I got to run, folks. I'll see y'all later.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, bigger
Hey,
Kurt.
Court,
I court.
Bye.
good seeing you.
Okay,
You.
why is
How's
St.
the
Louis why is St. Louis so good? They have 1,115 applicants this year on their website and they accept 156. So based on their model and the respect that they have and the quality of artists that they have, what makes them
They have integrity.
okay, so that's kind of what I'm trying to get at. That's kind of what I'm trying to
Des
get at.
Moines has integrity.
No, yeah, maybe they have that, but they have people that know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And,
Okay, so
and
that's like, in my opinion, that's like the Guild. In my opinion, the Guild is doing that, or
no,
no?
the guild
No,
does not even come close to being
no,
run the way St. Louis is run.
Okay.
no.
For one thing, St. Louis has such a reputation and actually goes out and cultivates sponsors that they turn sponsors away because they don't want to take too much money. I don't see the guild, people running the guild running out and getting, spending their time getting the quality sponsors. I mean, they get sponsors and their quality, but they're still counting on the money from the artists for the booth fees.
Well, where
Um,
is St. Louis getting its money?
from sponsors, from corporations.
That's
Hey,
it?
go to their website
Yeah.
and look at
That's
their
it?
sponsors. It's all on their website. They have
Okay.
little logos and stuff.
Okay, but that's it? That's the only place they're getting their money is from
I,
sponsors?
no, of course not. I don't
Most
know.
of
They have
they get
grants.
some money from the booth fee. The booth fee, I think. How much is the booth fee? $500, $600?
I think I want to say it was 450, but I'm not sure.
No, no. Probably
No?
hasn't
Okay,
been
so
450 for 20 years.
let me give me a second.
You
But
It
know,
that's
doesn't
my
matter. The booth fee is
it doesn't.
negligible when it comes to the cost of running a show.
But here's the thing about St. Louis. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I'm going to interrupt. St. Louis does the one thing more than any other show and gets people come and they buy and it really comes down to money. You make the money, it's a good show. It's good for everybody, and
But
people
see,
come
but
there.
that's the key is if you get a reputation for having quality artists, and if the buying public knows that if they go to St. Louis, they will get quality art, and then you build an organization around that to further that enterprise, that's a win-win for everybody.
God. And this conversation was 30 years ago. It's
Okay,
over and over and over again.
okay. I wasn't there 30 years ago.
I know. I'm
Sorry, I'm
saying,
sorry,
I'm
I'm
saying that
sorry.
it isn't about you. It's about the same, people come in and they may have these ideas and it's been the same forever. It's the same thing. It
Well,
doesn't change. Look
well,
at my idea is that anybody that wants to be a director should have to go work at say in St. Louis or in Des Moines and find out what it takes or Fort Worth. It should be a requirement to be a director so that they can find out what they need to do to make their shows really good. Because there's only a few shows. There used to be like 30 or 40 shows that were really good. And every time they would change directors, it would be somebody that would go, "Oh, I got a better idea." But for them, the better idea was to make themselves more money. So every few years or 10 years, whatever, they get a new director and they slowly go downhill instead of elevating themselves and having a better idea. In fact, they make the same mistakes over and over again. Um, and
let me
huh?
let me. I just took a look. St. Louis Art Fair regular booth is $685.
Yeah,
Naples Art Center regular booth is $800.
yeah. And
That's
and all you can do is not do the show, which I won't do the show in
okay, so this
Naples.
is
you
so
know.
this is the question. Why are there not more instances of a business model that is successful? If St. No, if
Because
St.
they all
Louis,
think
if
that
St. Louis
Really?
is successful,
Really?
no, seriously, if St. Louis is successful for the artists, for the people who put it on, and for the people who buy the art, all three,
Really?
why can't that be replicated?
Duh.
Why,
that's the
duh.
question that
Why can't that be replicated? I've been saying that for years. What are you talking about? Oh,
that's
What?
the question. That's the question. The 1 million, the $1 billion question. No, let
Well,
me rephrase that. That's the $1 trillion question.
Well, if you could just say, look, here, this is a success story. Do this. Everybody
you
else,
have to assume that the people that are running the show give a damn care. They don't care. They care. Eventually, they care about themselves. I used to go to these shows. I won't name a show, but I used to go there, and I felt like, wow, they love me. I mean, it was great right from the beginning through the whole show. And now it's like, oh, okay, you're here, big deal. That you don't get that anymore. And yeah, why? That's right, Janine. Why? Why? It seems so logical to be able to do this because why are the top 5 or 6 shows? Why do they maintain that they're really good? And they all there's a commonality to it. And one of the big things is getting really strong sponsors and having really good artwork and cultivating the buyers. if you can cultivate the buyers to come to your show, you're going to get like every, we're like gossipy, and you can take a crummy show and get really good buyers to come. And the next year, in 2 weeks after the show, everybody knows it's really, really good. And, because it's going to be a sleeper show. Oh, don't tell anybody, but everybody tells everybody. So
Okay,
it,
okay,
it
well, I got,
changes. It's
yeah,
really fast.
I know. I got an example just to underline your point. I have a client, um, he's uh he's an Orthodox Jew. He came into my booth at a Howard Allen show in 2017. He walked into my booth, never seen me before. I had never seen him before. He he was really excited about my work. He bought a lot of pieces. Then he sent me to a suburb of Toronto, Canada, where he grew up, to photograph the woods he walked in as a kid. And then he would buy my pictures. Okay, whatever. So he's bought a lot of work from me over the years. I haven't seen him in a while. But I put out an email to my clients yesterday, and I guess it was kind of depressing or something because I got some responses, but he was one of them. And I haven't, like I said, heard from him in a while. And he said, I saw on your website that you're going to be at Rittenhouse in Philadelphia. He said, I used to live in Philadelphia. And that was really a lovely thing to have the spring and the fall fairs at Rittenhouse Square. And that, from his perspective as a buyer and a fair attendee only, that's his only role, he is giving me feedback on this fair as having a reputation for being high quality and a good experience for the buyer. So, you know, I guess it just goes back to, why can't this model be replicated more easily, um, such that everybody wins?
It also can be, the other thing is the from what I understand, the St. Louis are fair spend a lot of time with the community, promoting the community. And in some places, no matter what, the community will not support the show. That's like at the neighborhood shows in Chicago. The people that come out to the show are the people from the neighborhood. They you rarely bring people from outside the area, outside of the Old Town and Port Clinton and Geneva. Those are the shows that and 57th Street. Everybody else depends on the neighborhood. So if a neighborhood I know, and what I mean neighborhood, it could be the town in some cases. If the town doesn't support the art fair, no matter what you do, you're not going to be successful. So it started
So,
with the people in town had the pride to be supporting the show, and doesn't mean that you can. If you send 100,000 people and you got 100 artists, 150 artists, and each person goes in there and spend $100, just think about it. That's enough to make most of the artists happy, especially when the booth fee is not insanely high. But those are the things that sometimes gets overlooked, and that's the part that's really hard sometimes for the shows. It's not that they don't want to do better, uh, but some places they don't deserve to have a show because the town doesn't support the area. So that's the other thing that sometimes gets overlooked. So that's about it.
Is that
Well,
it?
guys, I'm going to go because I need to return the call.
Well, I have to go feed Elvis. He's
He's
nipping at the
barking at
plate.
you.
What?
He's barking at you.
No, yeah.
Thanks, thanks for
He's
thanks
running
for always
around crazy.
thanks for always showing up, guys. It's nice to listen to you.
Okay.
Bye.
All right, bye everybody.
Bye.